The act of pickpocketing someone in Fallout 3 allows you to acquire some things you might not have been able to get without killing the person, like a key. But what if you had to try and survive the wastes with only your sticky fingers? Can you beat Fallout 3 as a dirty pickpocket? Let's go over the rules of the challenge. Number 1. The only way I can acquire loot is by pickpocketing someone, and I am able to sell the loot to buy different items. Number 2. I'm allowed to pick up or use quest items given to me, but I cannot use regular items given to me, except for keys. Number 3. I allowed picking up bobbleheads, and that's because I accidentally picked up the medicine bobblehead at the start of the game and said screw it. It's also set to very hard. Ready? Let's go. I was born from the womb of my mother, and was asked what my name should be. I chose Mixed Sticky Fingers as my moniker this time around. My mother died what I can assume was painfully, and I grew up. Dad left me alone to be with my own devices, and I read your special to fill out my special points. I maxed out intelligence and agility so I could level up faster, and so I had a higher base sneak skill. At my 10th birthday party, I was given a sweet roll, and I gave it to Butch because I love him deeply. My father told me to go into the basement for a surprise, and I didn't like how that sounded. Thankfully, it was just so I could shoot my new BB gun. I was given the opportunity to kill a rad roach with the BB gun that I didn't steal, and I killed it because the rad roach doesn't count ever. When I reached the age of 16, I accidentally took the bobblehead out of muscle memory and told Butch to call him out of fat again, because I would do anything for you, Butch. Mr. Broch let me fill out the test my way, and I picked Barter, Sneak, and Unarmed as my tag skills. I picked Unarmed because I was allowing the use of fists early in the game. Last time growing up, Amada told me Dad left the vault, and now I have to go find his sorry ass. But first, I drop all of my current items since they were not pickpocketed. Okay, let's see what I can do here. Well, you can't pickpocket someone in combat, so let's just kill him. Oh wait, Butch needs my help. Let's take it in here. Fighting with my fists was fine. I wasn't planning on using them much longer if I could help it. When the guard was dead, I tried to steal some vodka from Miss Deloria and failed. And I tried to steal Butch's switchblade, but the game didn't want me to play as Butch again. So I just made my way through the vault with my fists. Officer Mac was a pain in the ass, and then right after I killed Mac, Chief Hannon came in and attacked. I killed him too. I pickpocketed the Overseer and got his key and password to his office, and went there ASAP. Not much else happened in the vault, and I opened the escape tunnel in the vault door and left, but not before changing my special points and tag skills. Here's what my special points look like now, and here's what my tag skills look like now. Out in the wasteland, I leveled up and threw all of my points into Sneak. I picked Intense Training as my perk, which is what I picked for about 70% of my levels, so I could put a point into my now abysmally low Charisma. The first stop was to Silver's cottage so I could see if she had any caps to steal. She didn't, but she had 4 doses of Psycho and some ammo. Now's a great time to bring up what most NPCs have in their pockets. It's usually a mixture of small amounts of caps and ammo. Sometimes, like Silver, they'll have some chems, or maybe even some stim packs. And if you're really lucky, you can pickpocket a weapon off of someone, which happens pretty often late game. Now it's off to Megaton to steal from the poor and give to myself. The first person to get my sticky hands was Lucas Sims. I stole his house key, and since I decided it was okay to pick up bobbleheads, I went into his house and stole the strength bobblehead. Time to go to Moira's. When I arrived, I bought a pair of spiked knuckles and realized that maybe I should have kept Unarmed as a tag skill. Pickpocket everybody. I stole a lot of items, mainly caps and ammo. Sometimes I would get caught and would have to reload to avoid getting killed by the townsfolk. This was definitely a pretty save scummy kind of playthrough. I also went outside and stole some stims from Crow and his goon, and I ended up buying some leather armor from him. Now that I was decently equipped, I did what I always do when I start a new game of Fallout 3. I started the Wasteland Survival Guide quest for some easy experience early on. Off to the Super Duper Mart. On the way there, I got to test out my spiked knuckles, and they could have been better, but oh well. When I arrived at the Mart, I decided to take it pretty easy. I snuck the whole way through in hopes of being able to pickpocket some of the raiders. It really didn't work, and I figured out the problem pretty fast. I had to take my armor off. That left me incredibly defenseless, but I was able to pickpocket some of the raiders. They really only had ammo, but that was a good thing. I could sell the ammo and buy better ammo down the road. The spiked knuckles were also great at sneak attacking. This is what I tried to do to every single raider in the store. It took some time and effort, but I was able to clear the whole store almost entirely undetected. The only items I got were ammo, but oh well. Back to Megaton. At Megaton, I returned to Moira and got a food processor that I dropped, and took the next quest to get extremely irradiated so I could have the extra perk that heals my limb damage when I have advanced radiation sickness. Now it was time to do some exploring in the wasteland. I wanted to go to Tenpenny Tower so I could pickpocket everyone there. About as soon as I left the town's outer limits, I was attacked by dogs and mole rats. In the fight that ensued, my spiked knuckles broke, and I had to kill the rest with my bare hands. Now I had to go back to Megaton and buy some sort of weapon. I went with the inferior cousin of the spiked knuckles, the brass knuckles. I didn't remember that you could use them to repair spike knuckles at the time, but I realized it later. Back on my quest to Tenpenny Tower, I met a group of raiders who were not keen on having me steal from them. I eventually got a setup where I could steal this guy's flamer fuel and combat knife, but I was too stupid to actually use the knife. The great thing about stealing the ammo from someone is that they can no longer use that weapon, so that makes for some really funny scenarios later in the challenge. The other raiders weren't letting me get close enough to steal from them, so I ignored them and continued on my way. More dogs. Woo! At Tenpenny Tower, I made sure to save in front of the gate so I could save scum a successful speech check to be allowed in. And when I was in, I started stealing from the guards, who had 5.56 ammo, which would be incredibly handy since I planned on using an assault rifle. I went inside and stole from all the guards on duty, and then I waited until morning so I could steal from all the residents. They mostly had assortments of ammo and caps, but there was one resident I was looking forward to stealing from. It's me, Herbert Daring Dashwood, and my stalwart ghoul manservant Argyle. I figured that he had some good stuff, but I didn't expect him to have a laser pistol and some small energy ammo. Save scum ahoy! I proceeded to go to the top of the tower to talk to Alistair Tenpenny and was disappointed that he only had 308 ammo. But I came back later in the run for the real prize. I bought some brass knuckles from Gustavo to repair my own set, and this was when I realized that you could repair spike knuckles with the brass variant. Since I was already journeying around the wastes, I decided to hit up Rivet City so I could fast travel there later. There were more raiders on the way, and I stole from a few but left some of them alive because it was becoming a hassle. Now, here's when the game decided to start being really nice to me. I ended up passing by Andale at nighttime and decided to see if the residents had anything good to steal. Oh, a combat knife. Not bad. Holy hell, a sawed-off shotgun. Quick, save scum. Hell yeah! Let's see what the other couple has. Holy crap, he's got a scoped 44 Magnum. Woo! I'll be taking that. She had a knife. Whoop-de-doo! Now that I was pretty decked out, I was really ready to take on the wasteland. But first, let's go inside of the shed. Nothing out of the ordinary here. To say the least, the folks of Andale didn't like me snooping through their stuff, and attacked. Without any weapons, because I had them. Ha! It really only gets better from here. I tested their weapons out in them, and they all died pretty easily. Back to exploring. God, why are there so many raiders in the wasteland? This was about the point I decided to stop really trying to pickpocket raiders when they were wandering around, because the only things I'd get would be ammo or a side weapon like a knife or brass knuckles. I did run into some Talon Company mercs that I really wanted to loot, but even with my armor off, they still sensed me and inevitably killed me. I don't know why getting my head blown off made me so mad, but I have a vendetta now. I had to kill this guy at least once. I managed to stick a grenade in his pocket after a few minutes of trying, and killed him. Only to reload my save so I didn't get killed by his buddies. Some of them did notice me, and I had to run away, but that led me right to the Citadel, which was a very good thing. The Brotherhood Knights had an assortment of weapons, and that allowed me to acquire an assortment of ammo from them, ranging from microfusion cells to missiles and 10mm pistols. Just imagine what I can get in the inside of the Citadel. From here, Rivet City was just a short swim, and when I arrived at the stairwell to the bridge, I was greeted by Crazy Wolfgang and his guard, who had some stimpaks for me to steal. When I got to the bridge to Rivet City, it wouldn't extend, and no one was on the intercom either. I didn't know if this was a bug, or if I couldn't go in until I did a certain story quest, but I was a little salty and took it out on Harkness before I loaded a save. I decided that it was now time to start the main quest. I returned to Megaton to sell some stuff and buy a few things, the most notable being a suit of combat armor from Moira. I talked to Moriarty and paid him 100 caps to tell me where my dad went, and then I was off to GNR Station to talk to Three Dog. I fast traveled to the Super Duper Mart since it was the closest area to the Metro Tunnel entrance, and I was off. It was a pretty quiet walk there, and on the inside of the station there were mole rats. I was going to fight a few ghouls, but there was a problem. The gate was locked, and I didn't have any bobby pins. Now I have to go buy some, so I chose to go back to Tenpenny Tower to see if they'd sell me a few. When I arrived, I checked the guards to see if they had anything good, and they did. They all had assault rifles that I could steal, and that was a very good thing. I managed to steal most of them, and talked to Lydia and bought a single bobby pin. Let's hope it doesn't break. Back in the metro tunnels, I definitely picked the lock and got attacked by some ghouls. They were easy enough to kill, and I made my way deeper into the tunnels. I encountered a super mutant that no longer lives, and leveled up. I maxed out my sneak and picked Educated as my perk. There wasn't much else in the tunnels, and I exited them and hid in the preservation shelter. The Brotherhood showed up to deal with a few mutants, and I decided to not be a wuss and help them a bit. After we killed the mutants, I pickpocketed over 100 microfusion cells from Sarah Lyons. Holy hell! I tried to steal some from Vargas, but he wasn't having it. This guy was, though, and now I was very well stocked on ammo I would probably never use. Time to kill the rest of the super mutants. I helped out quite a bit since I had a solid chunk of ammo, and we cleared our way into the GNR Plaza, only to get attacked by a super mutant behemoth. I also helped in killing the beast, but I wasted a lot of ammo on it. In the end, it was teamwork that killed the beast, and I was now permitted to enter the station and talk to Three Dog. I stole from the Brotherhood members inside the building first, and met Three Dog. He wanted me to help him get his station back up to full power, and I agreed to help him in exchange for telling me where my dad was. The metro tunnels I had to go into to get to the Museum of Technology were just filled with raiders. Since these raiders were in a closed-off area, I decided to pickpocket them, which worked much better now that I had sneak up to 100. At one point, I thought it was pretty well and over when a bunch of raiders noticed me all at once, but I had a pretty good assembly line thing going. They'd come into the room, and I'd shoot them. I did that for most of them. The tunnels were a little bipolar. Raiders, ghouls, raiders. Kinda confusing why the raiders decided to live in a ghoul-infested tunnel. Whatever. I made it outside in one piece, and was sensed by a super mutant. It's a good thing they're not too bright. I was able to escape the two mutants, and decided that it would be a great idea to buy some supplies before I started the quest for real. Back to Megaton. I sold a few items I stole to Moira, and thought it would be a good idea to have a house, so I disarmed the bomb for Lucas Sims, and he gave me the key to my house. Now I could sleep if I had a broken bone or two, and didn't want to use a stim pack. Not gonna lie, this is the only time I used the house. I just wanted the quest experience. Since I had time to spare, I decided to check if Rivet City would let me in yet, and they did. Time to steal from all these sorry suckers. The guards had 10mm ammo, which would be useful later, and the settlers had caps and food sometimes. Cindy had some drugs, which was fantastic. I got really lucky when one of the guards had a 10mm submachine gun for me to steal, and that's about the only important item I stole from Rivet City for now. It was time to talk to Dr. Lee because I decided that since I was in Rivet City, I would just skip Three Dog's quest. She told me that my father had gone and passed, and that I should check the Jefferson Memorial for him. So that's what I was going to do, until I got sidetracked by the guards that were now all carrying 10mm submachine guns for some reason. I took my haul of weapons over to Flak and Shrapnels and lucked out when they had 2 cheap Chinese assault rifles for sale. I make it to the memorial easily and kill all of the super mutants in the top level and in the rotunda. The brute gives me a little trouble, but nothing I couldn't handle. I figured out that Dad had gone into a vault hidden in a garage, and I decided to put the quest on hold for a moment. Lots of stealing to do because I head back to Tenpenny Tower again to loot some more stuff. I'll leave it short this time, as I made away with a solid amount of items. The best thing that I stole was Alistair Tenpenny's sniper rifle. Hell yeah. Time to go to Smith Casey's garage to find Dad. Just a few dogs on the way there, and some mole rats inside of the garage itself. Not too bad, honestly. When I made it to the vault, I was told to put on my new vault suit, and I did since I was able to by the rules I laid out for myself. When I made it into the simulation, I leveled up and put the points into small guns and picked toughness this time around, so I had a bit more protection. Now, normally when I enter the simulation, I activate the failsafe, unleashing a horde of crazy commie bastards to kill everyone. But this time, I wanted to play by Dr. Braun's rules. I spoke to the man-child, and he told me that if I wanted questions answered about where he was keeping my dad, I would have to make Timmy Newspum cry. Easy as pie. I just beat the crap out of him. He answered a few of my questions and told me that my next objective was to break up the Rockwell's marriage, which was not easy as pie. I could have save-scummed my way into a successful skill check, but I wanted to have some fun with this. I went to Martha Simpson's house and took her unmentionables and put them in Roger Rockwell's workshop and brought his wife down to see. Ooh, that did the trick, and Dr. Braun agreed to answer more of my questions, which didn't really matter. I was just having fun. Now I have to kill Mabel Henderson in a creative way. Ooh, the artiste. The easiest way that I know how to do this is to push the roller skate to the edge of the stairs and wait an hour for Mabel to walk down the stairs and break every bone in her body all at once. Great. The last task was to kill everyone in town while dressed as the pint-sized slasher. And this one always sucks. The adults run faster than I do because I'm a kid, and it makes it incredibly hard to hit everyone. In the end, I do kill them all, and Dr. Braun lets me and my father leave. Hooray! Now that my father and I were free, he asked me what I was doing outside of the vault, and I asked him why he left it in the first place. Blah 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 exposition. Come with me to Rivet City, son. No, Dad, I'll meet you there because you're slower than molasses in January. I arrived at Rivet City way before Dad did, and spent the extra time pickpocketing the guards and civilians. When I did arrive at the lab, he still wasn't here, so I had to wait an hour for him to arrive, and somehow, he magically talked to Dr. Lee into working on a project that she gave up 20 years ago. Liam Neeson, you sure are one charismatic guy. Now we all have to go back to the Jefferson Memorial to get the project rolling, and when we get there, I'm volunteered as tribute by my father to kill the mutants inside. You number one, Daddy. The basement was easily cleared with all of these great weapons at my disposal, and now my dad and his scientist buddies could enter without being killed. Dad had work for me to do, and wanted me to press a button so we could drain some water or something like that. Then I had to go back up and get some fuses from Dad, and he congratulated me on disarming the nuke in Megaton. I did it for the house, Dad. I did it for the house. With the fuses, I could go back downstairs and hook them up, and really get the party started by pressing more buttons. Dad had one last task for me, and that was to clear some debris in a pipe. Easy enough, except for the part where the Enclave attacks. Right when I'm doing my job. Oh, brother. Time to see if I can steal from these guys. I can. It's just incredibly hard to do so. I was hoping that they might have some cool weapons, but all they had was ammo. The 44 Magnum made very short work of them, though, and I went to the upper floor to help Dad. Well, when I say help, I mean watch him die slowly due to radiation damage. Oh well. Time to go to the basement. Dr. Lee and her cohorts decided that I was in charge of this mission, which I guess made sense. This part, as always, sucked. I killed a few of the Enclave soldiers that were above us, and Dr. Lee opened the door for us. This was about the time I lost the scientists and just kept going, thinking that everyone would eventually make it up top. I stopped to loot this guy's ammo and left. They didn't follow me. Joy. I went back in and realized that taking this guy's ammo might have been a mistake and helped him clear the rest of the ghouls. I went back outside and that didn't fix it. I took the time to loot some of the Brotherhood Knights though, and I lucked out and got a laser rifle. Now I had to figure out what went wrong and why the scientists weren't following me. I thought it might be that these soldiers were still alive, but that didn't solve it. I figured out what the problem was though. I had to deal with Garza and his heart problem. Done. Next. Kidding. I scummed my way into a speech check and left Garza to rot down there and left the sewers for the last time. And the scientists followed me. Yay! Now it was time for the big heist. Since I now had access to the inside of the Citadel, I was going to be able to steal from everyone. Oh my god, there was so much loot in this place. Let's start off easy. Sarah Lyons had more microfusion cells. This guy had some grenades, and everyone had some sort of ammo. Lions Pride members had some really good stuff too, and to say the least, I was very much set for anything that could happen to me now. It's time to figure out what the next step was. I talked to Scribe Rothschild and was told to search the Vault Tech computer, which would hopefully tell me where I could find a G.E.C.K, the device we needed to make the water purifier at the memorial work. I searched the computer and figured out that Vault 87 had one, and I was on my way to Little Lamplight to gain entrance. That's a lie. I was getting pissed off that GNR kept cutting out, so I decided to finally do Three Dogs Quest. Since I already had the Museum of Tech located, I could fast travel there and get ready for some super mutant fighting. It was mostly a cakewalk, except for this asshole who shot me while I was unjamming my gun. Douchebag. Anyway, it was really easy and I took the Virgo 2 satellite dish and went to the Washington Monument to attach it so GNR would be fixed. Alright, music for all. Back to Three Dog. He thanked me by giving me a location to a weapons cache since I already knew what happened to my dad. And that was something I didn't know he did. It didn't really do me any good considering I can only pickpocket my loot, but it was interesting to know nonetheless. Now it's time to head to Little Lamplight Cavern for real. The way to Little Lamplight had a few super mutants, and since I was starting to level a bit more, super mutant brutes were becoming more common, which made my life that much harder. When I reached Little Lamplight, I once again scumming my way into a successful speech check. There was so much scumming this challenge. Not really much to do in Little Lamplight. I just had McCready open the back gate so I could head to Vault 87. The way there was filled with super mutants, some of which were pretty easy to kill, and some of which put up a fight. By the time I had made it through to the actual vault portion, I was in dire need of stim packs, not only for the rest of the vault, but I needed some for when I got captured by the Enclave too. Back to Megaton. I stopped at Doc Church's clinic and bought a bunch of stim packs in exchange for microfusion cells. Since my sneak and small guns were maxed, I started working on barter, and now microfusion cells were worth 2 caps apiece. Then I went to Rivet City and bought some Psycho from Cindy, and felt like I was prepared to take on the rest of all 87. Oh god, super mutants are just the worst in this challenge. They take so many shots to kill, and I can't even pickpocket them. The whole place was crawling with them, and I eventually decided to just run past them all and enter a new area. Not a good idea, they all followed me and I got dicked. But I loaded my autosave from when I entered the room, and I was completely undetected. Interesting and helpful. Now, I had to help free Fox from his cell, and since I wasn't good at computers, I had to pull the fire alarm which released everything else from his cells. Great. Now I have a crazy guy named Sid attacking his centaur. I put them down and met up with Fox, who did the majority of the work from here on out. When we got to the G.E.C.K chamber, he went in and grabbed it for me since the area was flooded with radiation, and I went to leave, but got kidnapped by the Enclave, and they presumably did terrible things to me on board the Vertibird while I was passed out. When I woke up from the flight, I was in a cage with Colonel Autumn waiting to question me. I had an idea, so I saved. I don't recall ever trying this before, but I told Colonel Autumn the actual code to the purifier at Jefferson Memorial. Well, joke's on me, I got dunked on. Whatever. I loaded and told him hurtful things as I usually do. He got mad, but the big bad president stepped in to save me. Cool. I was allowed to retrieve my equipment even though it wasn't stealing, and that's because I will never count having your items forcibly stolen from you as a challenge breaker. I leveled to 10 and put points into barter and picked the here and now perk and did the same thing, except I picked intense training for the second level up. The guy outside wasn't happy to see me, but I speeched him into letting me pass. The Enclave here didn't really have too much to steal, just some ammo. And before I could get more ammo, Colonel Autumn told the soldiers to attack. Awesome. I killed a few of them, but decided that saving my ammo would be a better choice. I ran past the rest on the second floor and made my way to the president's office. Bad robot. Bad. No self-awareness. My scolding made President Eden realize that he needed a permanent timeout, and he armed the self-destruct sequence. Running, 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 almost there. Ah, damn it! Stupid missile launcher soldier. The second time around, I escaped with my life, and it was time to prep for the final battle at the Purifier. I stopped at Rivet City and stole from a bunch of people, and made my way to Flak and Shrapnels to buy a combat shotgun for the final battle. I did the same thing at the Citadel and stole a bunch more ammo for the fight. I also got the chance to steal some power armor helmets after everyone was done talking. Since I told Sarah Lyons that I wasn't ready to fight the Enclave, I got the chance to stop at Megaton to pick up a few stimpaks for the battle. Now let's follow a big-ass robot.
Woo! Death to communism! Yeah! Robot! Kick their ass!
I let Liberty Prime do all the work on the way to the Purifier. When we arrived there, Sarah Lyons and I went in and attacked the Enclave soldiers guarding it. I even leveled up one last time. I maxed out barter for no reason, and put the rest in medicine. I took fast metabolism as my perk, and went to the rotunda to kill Colonel Autumn. Easy as pie. I always hated that it was so easy to kill Colonel Autumn, but that's a topic for another day. I finished off the guards, and sacrificed myself to turn the Purifier on, and I beat Fallout 3 as a dirty pickpocket. This was an incredibly fun challenge. When I went into this, I was really worried that actual weapons would be hard to get, which is why I allowed selling the items I stole to buy stuff. But it wasn't as big of a problem as I thought it would be. I highly recommend this challenge if you feel like having a different experience playing the game. And if you enjoyed today's video, think about subscribing, as that would help me out immensely. Don't forget to check out the Discord. I'll leave the link in the description. And until next time, stay safe out there, and peace out.